Good afternoon, Cumberland Valley families. I'm glad to provide this update today about opening schools here on Monday. So this is our update today for January 8th, 2021. So first and foremost, we are planning to open all of our schools on Monday. Elementary schools will return to their face-to-face 5-day-a-week program, and our secondary schools will come back on an AABB hybrid as we've done previously, or in CVVA. Please make sure that you're adhering to all travel quarantine requirements. So if you are out of the state, you have to quarantine for 10 days or you have to have a negative test. I have linked that here, and this presentation will also be sent out along with this video. Please continue to complete those daily wellness screenings and don't send kids who are sick to school. It's been an important part of us staying open, I think, and we need to continue to do that. And if your child does test positive, please make sure that you fill out our COVID form so we can track that. And on Monday, please don't forget to bring a water bottle and at least 2 masks to school. If you have face-to-face instruction on Monday, please do that. Thank you. So we've been trending a little bit better here the last couple weeks. Currently, we still have substantial spread. 100 is the number, and we're still at 296, but it's well down from where it was in the 3rd week of December. Our PCR rate has also come down. So the percentage of positivity is also down compared to where it was, 2.5, 3 weeks ago. So that's positive. Here's kind of the tracking. You can see that this is the PCR percentage positivity rate for Cumberland County that we track here internally in our district office. So we really like to see that come down once again, obviously to October levels, but we're glad that it's not continuing to go up. And the number of incidents per 100,000 has come down quite a bit. We were over 400 incidents per 100,000 in mid-December, and we're back down under 3 as of today. So, you can follow that here on the graph. This is the daily count from Cumberland County. So, we're nowhere near where we were in October, but we are, we're hopefully coming back down. That would be the goal, and seeing less spread here regionally. So yesterday, the Department of Education put out some additional guidance. And I think it's really important that people understand that it's just guidance. So districts are, they have the ability to have some local decisions specific to the school model that they are planning to use. So face-to-face instruction, hybrid instruction, fully online instruction. We do have some choice related to that. However, we are supposed to try and follow as many guidelines as we can related to, ensuring that we have physical distancing between students. Obviously, 100% mask adherence is really important. Cleaning, ventilation, all those things that are in our health and safety plan that we developed over the summer. So even though we have some choice in that, as we've stated previously, at the secondary level, there just would be no way to bring in additional students and even come close to meeting any of those guidelines, just because we would have too many students in classrooms. So that's why we continue to have that hybrid model. But at the elementary school, I feel like we've done a fairly good job with our smaller class sizes, and we've been able to manage that, so our kids have been able to get in. But school closures are no longer really, that's not up to us. That did change there in November, and there are specific guidelines, and if we have X number of cases, and depending on the size of the building must be closed. So, I know there have been some folks, and certainly in the thought exchange, there were some folks who really said, hey, we should try and bring all the kids back right now. And quite truthfully, what would occur then is we would just be closed faster. In December, we were really seeing a lot of building closure. I'm hopeful that, coming off this break, that the numbers continue to go down and we're able to keep our buildings open. But I think if those numbers get up over 400 again, we're going to see more buildings close. And at some of the elementary schools, 2 cases that impact the buildings close. So it doesn't take a lot. And I think if we would try and bring more kids in, there's no way we would stay open any length of time. And those are not guidelines. Those are requirements for us with the Department of Health. So our plans, we're continuing to offer the hybrid instruction, grades 6 to 12, and face-to-face instruction for grades K to 5. Obviously, we still have the virtual academy for families who made that selection earlier in the year. With the protocols we have in place, we really are not seeing any appreciable amount of transmission. There have been several incidents where a student who has been identified as a close contact has later developed COVID-19. That has happened a couple times at the elementary level. It's only happened one time at the secondary level, and that does have to do with the number of students in class, I think. Our secondary classes have less students in them than the elementary classes do, and also the length of time that students are exposed to each other is less. But in general, it's been pretty good. We really have not seen that. When students have quarantined, Staff members have had to quarantine. We have not had very many folks test positive for COVID-19 who were identified as close contacts. So I think in general, our protocols are working pretty well, even when we had pretty good spread going on. But they really are effective because we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. I think if we chose to make modifications to that, we would not do nearly as well. And I think that's been shown to bear out fairly well in a lot of districts who have not followed those protocols, who have had higher student densities. Those districts have closed much more rapidly and have stayed closed longer. So I've had some questions emailed to me about the UK variant, and I know what you know about it. So obviously we're keeping our eye on it. Obviously we have concerns about it. I think if it does prove to be much more contagious, I don't think we understand the ways in which it is more contagious. Is it more contagious, like if we're wearing masks and we're still 4 feet apart? Is it contagious in that scenario, or is it more contagious for other reasons? I just don't think we know enough about that. But I want to be really upfront with everyone and say, the thresholds for cases are very low. Even at the high school, it's only 6 cases before we have to close the building. So, I think it's important that people understand that. And it's not as if we're going to have 50 cases suddenly and it's unlikely that that's going to occur. It seems much more likely that we would have several cases and the building would be closed if we had a much higher incidence rate happening around here. So while I am concerned about that, I think the real concern is that it could potentially push us to online learning for longer amounts of time, as opposed to what we're dealing with now if we have incidence rates that increase because of it. I'm not necessarily concerned about it as an issue itself within our schools, but I do think that there is a potential that if we do have a more contagious strain of COVID-19 here in the region, that it's likely that we will have more school closures, will be more disruptive, and we likely will be online more. And so, those are the concerns that I have related to this right now. And as I said, we just don't know enough about it yet. I think we will learn those things, shortly as we move forward into the spring here. So I did want to go through just kind of our overview of the thought exchange from December. We had great participation. I really thank you for that. It really has helped drive some decision making that we've had. We have about 1,800 individual responses. So people came up with ideas and about 60,000 ratings of those ideas. So a lot. It really prompted us to do what we did around the winter break, to be out those 2 days before the winter break, to take the 23rd off completely, to not try and do asynchronous work, give students a break, and then also to do this week online as we came back in. There was a lot of strong opinion about that, and we tried to follow that as much as we could. There were strong opinions to try and provide as much face-to-face instruction as possible, or to try and say, hey, we should all be out right now. And they were pretty equal in terms of the number of individuals who submitted those things and the ratings that they received. So, we're trying to balance that as we move forward. But as I've said, I think if we tried to provide any additional face-to-face instruction right now, we just were going to be closed because they have given us hard numbers related to closure numbers for buildings. And we just would likely have higher numbers very quickly and we would be closed. We'd be online more often. So the goal is to stay in school, to mitigate any issues we have and to try and stay in as much as we can, because I do think it's in the best interest of the students. I think it's in the best interest of the students to try and maintain a reasonable schedule as well. Some commonality between those groups. That's one thing that Thought Exchange does for us, is it looks at common areas, and we appreciate it, but there are lots of positive comments about the work of our staff. I think a lot of people feel real strongly that our staff is doing a good job, in very challenging times, and we really appreciate that. Continued concerns that were shared about vigilance and the need to adhere to protocols both within the school and in the community, not sending students to school when they're sick, making sure that parents are managing those things. Seem to be strong opinions about that seem very similar, regardless of what your thoughts were on being in school or being remote. And then there was some consensus that we're going to take under advisement here, that if we go virtual for a longer period of time, we really need to change our schedule a little bit at the secondary level so the kids have more live instruction. And we are looking at those things. It did not make sense for a week when we were out here in January, and it really doesn't make sense for intermittent closures of 3 days, because I think there's a lot of schedules that families have, that students have, lots of work schedules, other things that would be impacted by that. But if for some reason we have increases and there's a potential that we're going to be closed for a longer amount of time, and we think we can identify, hey, it's going to be a month, we're going to be all online, we will have to do that. We'll have to find a way to do that, and we're working through some of those schedules now. So I think that was all really good feedback, and we appreciate it from families. We appreciate people taking the time to provide us with that information. So notifications moving forward, one of the big things we're going to do is, right now you're getting a phone call anytime there's a case in the building, but it really is, it's starting to cause some real challenges for us in terms of getting all of those out and making sure they're accurate. And so what's going to occur now is, if there's a case in the building, you will still receive an email. So any staff member in that building, any parents of students in that building, they'll get an email notification that there was a case in the building. And it'll always be placed on the district website. We'll always continue to do that. And then if you're a close contact, if you're a student or staff member who's considered a close contact, you absolutely will get a call from a district administrator and you'll be notified about that. So I want to be really clear that, it really is not a major change, except that we're going to have less phone calls going out when we have cases, because quite truthfully, we've been calling a lot of people and I don't know that it's productive. And it really is taxing our system a little bit. And so people will continue to receive an email notification if there's a case in the building. We'll continue to do weekly updates on where we anticipate that we are in terms of cases. As of Monday, we will be at 0 in all buildings. So there's no incidents that are considered exposure because we haven't had anyone in school, any of our students. But beginning on Monday, we could start tracking that again. And so I would anticipate the next Friday, you'll get another notification notice from me. Hang in there, everybody. Welcome to 2021. The first couple of days have not been what I had hoped for, but I think in general, it's going to be a much better year. We have some time yet, I think, where we're going to continue to have a challenge with COVID-19, though. I think we really do have another, certainly another month, hopefully not more than that. Hopefully we can get some vaccinations, especially of our staff, and be able to do some things differently here at school. But in the meantime, I think we just have to hang in there and continue to do what we're doing because it is working. So take care, and I'll see all of you in the air.